It's ugly. They don't want to think about what scares them. So yeah, it's affected everybody.
There's a level of despair that is palpable.
People on Lāna'i also worry about the whales just off the island. Dan Bosta is the director of the National Marine Sanctuaries in Washington. He's a backer of green energy, but he also cares deeply about whales. He believes locals should be the key voices in this debate, instead of people who don't live here. He thinks the debacle on the Gulf Coast illustrates the dangers when corporate interests are placed ahead of community interest.
No one wants to see a humpback whale entangled in mooring cables, dead. They'd rather cut off their right arm for that. No one wants to see the ecosystem destroyed in some way that it's no longer this Hawaiian Islands. You know, it's an industrial operation in an island in the Pacific. No one wants to see that.
Dan Bosta is the only government official to agree to an interview with us about this proposed project.
Before serving as governor, Sarah was the mayor of Wasilla for 2 terms.
This is former Hawaiian Governor Linda Lingle. She's seen here giving a nominating speech for former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin during the Republican convention of 2008. While in office, we made repeated requests to interview her. She's a big backer of wind energy. Over a 3-month period, we worked with her staff to arrange an interview. But in the end, she never agreed to one. This is Harry Saunders, a top executive at Castle & Cooke. Saunders agreed to talk to us, but canceled the night before the interview was to take place. Ted Peck was the state energy administrator under Lingle. He too agreed to an interview with us in July of 2010, while he was still in that key government position. An hour after Saunders pulled out of his agreed-to interview, Peck called to cancel his as well. A mere coincidence? Or was this coordinated? We'll never know. But we do know how Peck feels about this project. In June of 2010, while still state energy administrator, he spoke to Hawaiian Public Radio.
Ted Peck is the DBED energy administrator.
These 2 wind farms, this 400 megawatts of wind, will generate 10% of the state's, not Oahu's, the state's electricity.
He says wind is proven and relatively cheap.
So we decided to check Peck's facts. Is wind energy really cheap? We traveled to Austin, Texas to ask Robert Bryce.
Wind energy is more expensive. Look at the International Energy Agency report from last year, in which they estimated onshore electricity costs from wind turbines at over $90 per megawatt hour. What did they estimate for coal? About $70. What did they estimate for natural gas? Less than $80. They pegged wind-generated electricity as among the most expensive options. What happened at the same time with the Energy Information Administration here in the United States? Same exact thing. Determined that wind-generated electricity is among the most expensive options. And yet, what do we have? 29 governors sending a letter to the White House and Congress demanding that they enact legislation that will essentially raise taxes on all of their voters. This makes no sense whatsoever.
Bryce has written about energy for the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post. He's written several books on energy. His latest, Power Hungry, is an expose on wind energy. So we asked, is wind proven?
What do we have with the wind energy business today? Dramatic overstatement of the benefits, dramatic understatement of the costs.
So Bryce disputes Peck's claims, and many in Hawaii question how the wind sites can serve 10% of the state's electricity needs when the energy will only go to Oahu.